As I was walking in, our regional governor, Ms. Melanie Nang, told me, Madam Secretary, it's good you were able to make time to attend this summit. And my reply to her was, of course, if it has anything to do with Cebu, I'll always come running back. Inana na ako kapinangga, ang sugdo, isip ko sa kasubuanin. I am honored to speak before the distinguished members of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry this morning. When the world was forced to shut down, Cebu bounced back quicker than the rest because of the undeniably strong partnership between the provincial and local governments and the private sector. As a Cebuana, I'm particularly familiar with the successes of shared tourism governance, particularly with the efforts of the provincial and local governments and of the Cebu Chamber to create high-impact and innovative activities and projects that help Cebu enterprises adapt to the changes brought by the pandemic. You also actively took part in the government's campaign for vaccination against COVID-19 and were among the front runners of the Bangon Cebu relief operations during the aftermath of Typhoon Odette. Thus, let me first take this opportunity to thank all of you for your unwavering support to the province of Cebu and all its cities throughout all of its highs and lows. Today, I will be sharing with you the current status of the Philippine tourism industry and how we envision it to recover and prosper in the years to come. We will be giving you updates on the progress we've made so far since the beginning of our term. The Philippine tourism industry, which used to hold more than 12% of the country's gross domestic product prior to the pandemic, is predicted to grow back to its pre-pandemic level only in 2025. Currently, our tourism arrivals are starting to pick up with over 1.1 million arrivals since February 10, when our borders reopened to international leisure travel, until August 7 of this year. Domestic trips reported in 2021 were pegged at 37 million or 38.16% of the trips in 2019. Tourism industries employed about 4.9 million individuals in 2021, 4.6% higher than the 4.7 million employed in 2020, contributing 11.1% to the total employment in the country. Presently, the Philippines ranks at number 6 in the ASEAN and number 75 in the world in terms of tourism statistics. But considering the beauty and the quality of our natural offerings, as well as the talent and warmth of our people, we're simply not satisfied with regaining our number 6 position and number 75 global position. We want our standing to far exceed its present state. And that is why we have taken the pains to immediately conduct a due diligence on what exactly are the hurdles and challenges faced by the tourism industry in order to determine how we can hurdle them. The DOT has identified major challenges that are hampering the full development and recovery of the tourism industry, including limited gateway access, lack of tourism infrastructure, inadequate health and safety facilities, and of course, significant economic decline within the industry. With the guidance and vision of our President, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the Department of Tourism is firmly set to address these challenges and work towards boosting the industry into becoming one of the economic drivers of the administration and to claiming a primary place in the ASEAN and the global community of nations. And so, we have identified the following objectives to be pursued in the next years in order to address the challenges faced by our industry and to vastly improve our standing. First, we will introduce improvement of tourism infrastructure and accessibility. Second, we will undertake cohesive and comprehensive digitalization and connectivity. Third, we will enhance the overall tourist experience. Fourth, we will ensure the equalization of tourism development and promotion. Fifth, we will diversify our portfolio through multidimensional tourism. Sixth, we will introduce efforts to maximize domestic tourism. And seventh, we will strengthen tourism governance through strong collaboration with LGUs and stakeholders. In order to meet these 7 objectives, we have identified focus points and areas that we will be anchoring all of our policy directions and programs towards. Our aspirations are just within our grasp, and in order to get there, we will focus on 3 main strategies. First would be connectivity. Second, convenience. And third, equality. Connectivity aims to ensure that our tourist destinations are accessible through improved transportation networks and affordable travel costs. Our approach is geared towards proactive and aggressive infrastructure development that provides quality access to roads, bridges, water systems, and various methods of transportation for land, sea, and air. Consequently, we will provide a convenient and much better tourism experience for both foreign and domestic travelers through standardized travel protocols. The DOH has reached out to the Department of Interior and Local Government, the Bureau of Immigration, and the Bureau of Quarantine to ensure that entry protocols and requirements are streamlined, liberalized, and updates are readily available for tourists. For one, I think we can all take comfort in the President's assurance by way of his State of the Nation address, no more lockdowns. You can clap. I think everyone's very happy about that. Furthermore, I am personally directed to make sure that our tourist destinations are safe and well equipped to receive guests through the establishment of tourist service centers and improvement of medical facilities and health services, especially in remote destinations. Ug tungod kay pinangga ang yug kaayo nato ang Cebu, I'm very happy to report to you that this year we will already be breaking ground here in Cebu for 4 tourist rest areas from the north to the south to cater to all of our tour operators that will traverse our province and our municipalities across Cebu. We will also see to it that the quality of our tourist destinations and product offerings meet international standards through rigorous establishment of accreditation and product audits. Currently, our Office for Standards Regulation is reviewing our accreditation requirements to address gaps and incorporate emerging tourism standards that cater to the needs of modern travelers. And because it is our intention to anchor all our efforts on the Filipino brand, the good news is that along with our revision of accreditation standards, we will also be introducing incentives to establishments who will support anything Filipino in their establishments. The DOT is also working on developing new regional tourism circuits that will highlight nature-based tourism, MICE tourism, food and gastronomy, heritage and culture, farm and agritourism, health and wellness, and for the very first time, we will give priority as well to the arts. All these tourism dimensions will get equal promotion, attention, and support as we expand ourselves from the traditional portfolio and explore multi-dimensional tourism. Basically, what we envision is that when tourists, international or local, visit our destinations, they will not simply limit themselves to visiting our natural resources, our beaches, nature-based tourism, etc. We want them to have a multi-dimensional experience, to feel as well the warmth of our people, the beauty of our culture, and most importantly, the deliciousness of our food. Significantly, these plans are bound to make certain that no tourist destination gets left behind in the process of development. My directive has been to extend the department's full support to the local government units across the country that may not have necessarily been given equal attention. It is important to equalize promotion and marketing opportunities to all destinations across the country. Since assuming office, the DOT, under our administration, has already made significant steps to jumpstart all of these plans and programs following the vision of President Marcos. Right after I took my oath as Secretary of Tourism, I immediately engaged in listening tours across the country. I have met with all 16 regional directors of the DOT, as well as attached agencies, private sector stakeholders, and local government units across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Our listening tours aims to better connect with the industry and identify the challenges and problems at the grassroots level of all the regions among all tourism stakeholders. If there's anything that my experience as mayor of a local government unit has taught me, it is that it is very important to be in touch with the realities on the ground. And you can only familiarize yourself with all of this if you take the time to listen. And it is in listening that we are able to come up with short, medium, and long-term solutions to the challenges that have long plagued our industry. And my hope is that with your collaboration and partnership, we would be able to strengthen the tourism industry to surmount any challenges. In terms of increased convergence with relevant government agencies, we have met with the Department of Transportation just this week to present our proposals for air and seaports that are visitor-friendly. We also explored the possibility of making our gateways distinctly Filipino. During our meeting, Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista agreed to our proposal to create a technical working group that would oversee a smooth and comprehensive facilitation of the airport and seaport enhancement program. Some of the DOT's recommended enhancements include the installation of signages that would have a uniform look in all air and seaports, as well as the use of proper lighting, backdrop, furniture that will distinctly reflect the Filipino brand. We want the experience to be positive for all senses, that when our tourists and guests arrive and when they leave, they will have had a good experience and memories of the Philippines. We will also have interactive displays that will feature various artists, artisans, chefs to make the airport experience extraordinary and experiential for travelers. In addition to the aesthetically appealing ports, the DOT is also pushing for a passenger experience that is stress-free, with more efficient service and reduced passenger waiting time. The DOT recommended a one-stop shop for land, air, and sea connectivity with provision of digitalized service to facilitate efficiency. The department also has committed to provide tourism assistance desks across all of our air and seaports with trained personnel to facilitate visitors' concerns and provide the necessary information to our tourist destinations. Meanwhile, the resumption of pre-pandemic routes was suggested by the DOT to minimize congestion in major air and seaports. The opening of new local and domestic routes was also proposed by the department, given the positive developments in travel conditions and demands. We will continue with our negotiations together with the DOTR to ensure that the pre-pandemic flights that had been ceased would return and that we would be able to add more flights to our ports all over the country. As we move forward, we will staunchly continue with all of our efforts to reach out to as many stakeholders as possible, because we want to build an industry that is inclusive and proactive, one that maximizes the full potential and significant contribution that each and every one of you can bring to strengthen the Philippine tourism industry. We will also be pursuing alignment meetings with all of our partner agencies to come up with effective ways to help our industry in the next few years. All of you play a vital role in our aspirations for recovery and progress. Your success, our success, means more jobs for our people, better economy, more productive workforce, and sparking a recovery not only for our tourism industry here in Cebu, but for the entirety of our country's economy. With this, I invite everyone to join the efforts of the Department of Tourism and the national government in building a stronger bridge of collaboration to maximize all of our efforts in that we would be able to exceed our previous standing in the global stage. It has been said that what Cebu does, the rest of the country follows. I do hope that we would see the same enthusiasm and openness for collaboration from all of you, business leaders across our province and across our country, as it is in helping together that we would be able to ensure the full recovery of the tourism industry for the benefit of the Philippines and the Filipino people. Daghan kayong salamat kaninyong tanan.
Maraming salamat, the Secretary of the Department.
Standards is concerned, that is entirely within the jurisdiction of the Department of Tourism, and you can rest assured that, as I mentioned in my presentation, we are currently revisiting accreditation standards to ensure that it is at par with global standards. But we will make sure also that it is not so unreasonable that our accommodation and restaurant establishments would not be able to comply. As far as cost is concerned, it really depends on what your offering is. Because if it has to do with regular goods, consumer goods and services, the jurisdiction is with the Department of Trade and Industry. If it has to do with agricultural products, the jurisdiction is with the Department of Agriculture. If it has to do with other costs and the way with which you operate your business, that has to do with the local government units. Recognizing that there are various jurisdictions at play, what we have done in the Department of Tourism is to form a technical working group composed of various agencies, specifically for the purpose of coming up with a common standard that we can agree on across the board. The difficulty with the limitations that we have is that we cannot also unilaterally impose our own costs of goods, considering the jurisdictional issues that I indicated. The best that we are trying to do is to be facilitative in that we bring attention to the necessity of driving down costs to the necessary departments. Next, one of the things that I perceive to be a great hindrance to the recovery of the tourism industry is the high price of energy. And that is why we have brought this to the attention of the Department of Energy to exert efforts to revisit the costs of electricity, costs of doing business in general, whether you are an accommodation establishment, a mall, a restaurant, etc. And I'm heartened by the fact that the President very strongly supports the efforts to ensure that we help the Filipino people by revisiting how we can best streamline costs of energy across the board. With that, we're hopeful that with these interagency efforts that we would be able to agree on standards that can uplift the standing of our products locally and internationally. Maximization of domestic tourism is definitely an effort that we have already given attention to and will continue to give focus to, considering that what we've seen from our experience here in Cebu is that it was really domestic tourism that helped our economy withstand all of the challenges of the pandemic, as well as Super Typhoon Odette. And if you examine the tourism statistics, our domestic tourists far outweigh the international tourists that come into our country. And therefore, it is high time that we maximize the potential of domestic tourism. And that is something that we will be doing through the equalization of promotion of our tourist destinations across the country and through the active effort to reach out to our local government units to lend the expertise of the Department of Tourism to ensure that we're able to fully develop and maximize the potential of our local tourism destinations. Lastly, I know it's quite long now, my answer, but I wanted to make sure it's comprehensive. Lastly, we are very closely looking at gateway access because undeniably we have so many beautiful destinations, but it's very difficult to get there. And that is why we're working very closely with the Department of Transportation to examine and conduct a due diligence of all of our tourism destinations where we have already identified what are the priority airports that we need improvement on, what have been identified as international airports but do not function as such, what runways need to be extended so we can receive international flights, and on the side of seaports, what are the seaports that need to be improved, what are the seaports that need to be added, and what are the sea routes that still need to be resumed or added to our tourist destinations. So it's really a comprehensive effort that we're trying to do to introduce institutional changes to the tourism industry. Make no mistake, we're going beyond the traditional portfolio of the Department of Tourism, where we limit ourselves to a mere marketing and promotion arm. We want to make a real impact on the tourism industry so that we will leave it stronger than we came here first. So I'm hopeful that with your support and with your cooperation, we will be able to do just that.